Welcome back to Text in English, Poetry, Bite Size, from Tiny Me down here in the corner. Today, we're going to continue discussing poetry as a form or format. And we've said already that poetry is characterized by rhyme, rhythm, also called meter, imagery, description in other words, and its form. Today, we're going to look at rhythm. I should mention before we go on, beautiful bit of visual poetry behind me by Derek Bewley. It's called Untitled for Natalie and Jeremy. Follow the link and have a little explore. Now let's talk about rhythm today. Rhythm, as we look at Jörg Pieringer's very visual poem, Untitled, consisting purely of bees in some kind of container, like bees exploding out of a hive made out of tiny bees, like that. It's funny, I hadn't actually seen that until now as I tried to describe it. It was only then when I engaged with it that I understood what it really was. Very clever indeed. Now, this bit of visual poetry above me, of course, doesn't really have anything to do with rhythm per se, though you can imagine the bzz, bee, bee is very sound-based. But rhythm is all about the number of syllables in words and phrases. So rhythm is characterized by the number of syllables. So it can be quite useful when we're thinking about word and sentence stress and intonation, for example, and the pattern of stress of syllables. That's your intonation, where you've got a hard or a soft stress, a long or a short beat. Rhythm is called meter in poetry, and you will have read a little bit about this. Iambic pentameter, for example, being what Shakespeare's dramatic verse is written in. We'll come back to that when we discuss drama a bit more. But now we're looking primarily at poetry, and we're going to keep our vocabulary functional. Julia Donaldson, you'll all know about up there. This would be a very good purchase. Poems to Perform, a classic collection, something that I've now ordered because I found this now, so we're going to have a look at. Poetry is performance, and that's really important. And it's a form of performance that allows us to process, rehearse speaking and oral skills, as well as writing, of course, if we're scripting poems. Here's our own poem called Question Time from the collection. How many books have you written? Have you been writing for years? Where'd you get all the paper? Where'd you get your ideas? Do you get bumps on your fingers? Do you get eggs in your wrist? Please, can I go to the toilet? Did you write Oliver Twist? I've got a book about spiders. I've got a cut on my knee. I've got an aunt who speaks German. Gemma keeps tickling me. Are you quite old? Are you famous? Are you a millionaire? I wasn't putting my hand up. I was just twiddling my hair. How many plays have you written? Do you write one every day? Do you? Oh dear, I've forgotten what I was going to say. Will you be staying to dinner? Will you go home on the bus? How many poems have you written? Will you write one about us? Wonderful Julia Donaldson there, a poem called Question Time. And here we can look and count the number of syllables, and we can think about the stress, written, years, paper, ideas. So we've got A, B, C, B for our rhyming scheme here, with an alternating couplet in there, full rhyme, years and ideas, even though they're not written or spelt the same. If I go to my RP accent as well, if I speak like this, then it's years and ideas. They're pronounced exactly the same. Could be a half rhyme, another accent. You can hear it in the slightly sort of, because I grew up in Northwest England, Yorkshire, and in Lancashire as well, then the S has got a very strong z sound as well. Fingers, wrist, toilet, twist. So we've got a regular rhyme scheme or pattern throughout it. And we've got a full rhyme generally there with wrist and twist as well. And the poem seems to be more about actual performance because it's quite sort of jumps from one thing to another, a bit like the thought process of a child. How many books have you written? 8 syllables. Have you been writing for years? You could change your stress according to performance here, but we've got 8 syllables, 7 syllables. Where do you get all the paper? 8. Where do you get your ideas? 7. So we've got a fixed pattern here, 8 syllables to 7 syllables, which helps us to perform. How many books have you written? Have you been writing for years? Where do you get all the paper? Where do you get your ideas? So I'll stress, how many books have you written? Have you been writing for years? Where do you get all the paper? Where do you get your ideas? So we can sort of change stress. So it's an actual practice poem, if you like, full of just simple questions and a perfect sort of tool for practicing word and sentence stress and intonation. Lovely. We're going to build on that. We'll be looking at there. We looked at rhyme and now rhythm, principally looking at Julia Donaldson's poem Question Time. We'll be moving forward and looking at more of our reading list in class sessions. This has been Text in English Poetry with me, Charlie Kay.